order of the Madison Elementary School District Governing Board. Ms. Humphrey, please call the roll.
President Kazi.
Here.
Vice President Hunt.
Here.
Member Gresham.
Here.
Member Holcomb.
Here.
Member Thompson.
Present.
We have a quorum because everyone's present.
That is always a good thing. Thank you so much. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. So moved.
Second.
It has been moved by Ms. Thompson, seconded by Mr. Holcomb. Please vote. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed signify by saying nay. The motion carries unanimously. Who would like to do the Pledge of Allegiance? Mr. Thompson, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you so much. Is there a need for an executive session this evening? Seeing that we do not need an executive session, let's move on to our communications announcements. Item 3.1. Dr. Guerin.
President Kazi, Vice President Hunt, members of the board, cabinet, and guests. Thank you to our staff, students, parents, and community members for a fantastic first day of school. I think one of my favorite parts is that we did not melt this year, that we actually got to enjoy the beautiful weather after the storm blew through. Through everyone's hard work, dedication, and the Madison team community spirit, we had a great opening to the 26-27 school year. I also want to thank Mr. Reyes and his team for opening the new building in about less than a week. You got in there, right? Wednesday, so really quite miraculous. So congratulations. Later during the meeting, I'm going to provide an overview of the opening to the school year. Congratulations to all 8 of our schools for their implementation of positive behavior intervention support. I am so proud to share that all 8 schools received recognition for their outstanding work in implementing tiered support student success. So that is meeting students individually where they need, not only academically, but social, emotionally, behaviorally, and providing support to move them where they need to go. Establishing this vital foundation takes incredible dedication, reflecting Madison's deep commitment to student success. That all 8 schools were recognized really shows that we're consistent in our implementation, and I also want to applaud the Ed Services team for all their work in this area. Parents, please do not forget to create a Parent Square account and make sure you've completed your back to school paperwork. This is your homework and it is very, very important. Schools will continue to send link reminders. I look forward to giving my back to school update soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Guerin. Moving along to governing board member reports. Mr. Holcomb, would you like to start this evening?
Sure. This has been a wonderful, last 2 weeks. It just the opening of schools. This is because I have a little bit more time. I was able to spend more time at it than I have in the past. But it is going to Rose Lane. That was phenomenal. And seeing the teamwork, people getting in there and just cleaning up, helping the teachers. I also got to safety test the slide. I know that it will carry the weight of at least 5 to 6 elementary school kids at the same time. I was able to prove that. I think I was the first to go down the slide, but it was just, that's what I get when I get on the scale. But it was phenomenal seeing everybody work together, and the school is just great. It's all the little details. That really show off and how that is such a welcoming space. And then this morning I got to go to Camel View. And I tell people that a lot of times Camel View is the happiest place you'll go to. The littles and entered Munchkin Land for the whole time. And what was great was I got to take a lot of pictures of kids and parents with kids with the Camel View sign. They were so happy to be there. And then I went back for lunch and just being there with the kids and the teachers and the care that the people have. I mean, everybody from the lunch, people taking money for lunch and because they don't have the reader there, apparently, they have to know all the faces, all the kids, and they know it. And one of the cashiers said he had spent the last couple of days going through the old yearbooks just so he could get a better idea of the faces to be able to do that. And if I give a compliment to the board, I had a teacher who came from another district come up to me and say what a wonderful thing it was to have board members, they're helping on the first day. She said that's totally out of character for where she came from. She also said that she'd been watching the board meetings before as she came to the school, and she said it was just so refreshing to have a board that's focusing on that. She said that was one of the reasons why she came. It showed that importance. The last thing too is working with the littles and going through too. It really underscored for me the thing that we've talked about, how important it is for preschool and kindergarten for kids to learn just to be in school, to learn how to line up and work with kids and be able to how much difference that makes and how much you can teach a kid because they know what it's like to be in school. And the kids were so happy to be there. It was just a great day. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Mr. Holcomb. Mr. Hunt.
Yes, I was able to go by Rose Lane on Friday, see Principal Reyes and his team there, and the facility is just incredible. And what was really striking to me as I got to spend some time there, Ms. Thompson was there too. We were moving things and had a great time getting to talk to the teachers. Is that we've always had best in class classified certified staff there. And now nobody can say we don't have the best in class building and facilities. And so really that match just is an incredible opportunity for the families in Madison and specifically in Rose Lane to go take advantage of that. So just incredible facilities, great job at Rose Lane. And then I was able to be at Madison Meadows and see, again, incredible facility, invested community of educators and classified certified staff and administrators, and just what a difference that makes in terms of those young people coming into that space, understanding that they're going to be cared for and safe and healthy inside of those great facilities, exactly what public education should be. And so just a kudos to everybody here who spends their days doing that, and obviously the folks who are down there working hard day and night to keep those facilities in great space. And then finally, and my kids would probably roll their eyes if they heard me say this because it's a very dad comment, but the fields look incredible. So they really do. I mean, the fields, in terms of it is the facility. I mean, just look incredible. The grass is live and well. I know the students great. They'll do their best to knock it down as they go out to recess now, but just incredible work on part of the facilities to get everything up and running in best in class for the start of school. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hunt. Ms. Gresham.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Happy first day. It's been a fun couple of weeks. We had the welcome back breakfast last week for our teachers and staff. That's always a lot of fun. And now we've got, we always do the prizes, which is one of my favorite parts. And then now we have this thing with the principals. It's been, I don't know how long we've been doing this, but it gets bigger every year where we introduce each school and each department. And like every time it's going to get, you have to up your game a little. So that is also a lot of fun. Got to see Rose Lane. It's amazing. And I was in charge of delivering all the trash cans, so if you didn't get one, that is my fault, and I'm sorry. I hope you got one. I think we got everybody. Dr. Guerin and I were teaming up on that. But that shows you what funding public education can do. We can have nice facilities. We can have amazing teachers. We can have all these things. And lastly, this morning I was I saw Jackie at both places, Simus and number one. And yes, there were, it was mostly joyful, a few newbies, some kindergartners who weren't really quite sure they wanted to be there. And one said, he kept saying 6 hours is too long. I was like, I know, I agree. But yes, I think the teachers agreed too. It was a little humid this morning, but the clouds were nice. So yeah, there were some tears, and well, there's always some parents with tears as well. But overall, it went great. And please be patient with the traffic. First day is always crazy, and I always encourage, please look into the buses. It's a great option. We do have school buses. You don't have to drive your students. So please take advantage of that as well. And okay, I think that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gresham. Mrs. Thompson?
Happy New Year, everybody. So glad to see everybody out. I just wanted to say that I loved the video that Marcom posted on social. It was really great to have those little vignettes of each school and the kids excited to be there, and it was really nice to see. I also want to say that it was so much fun at the welcome back breakfast, but the board's going to need some walk-up music for next year. So we're all going to need to think about what our walk-up music should be, or something along those lines. Congratulations to Rose Lane, the lift on opening your building in less than a week. When I walked into the art teacher's classroom, I was a little terrified. But I think I got most of the paint sorted in Roy G. Biv order, and I think it'll work out okay. So if it's not, that's my fault. But the other piece of that is, understanding that even the Rose Lane teachers know that they could lean on the park teachers who recently went through a move to say, what should I keep? What should I get rid of? How can you help me think through organizing? And I just thought that was really wonderful, that we know that this community is bigger than just one building, but it's all the teachers across the district ready to pitch in and help out in an instant like that. I also want to say, I'm sure the administrators will appreciate this. I woke up in the middle of the night to all that thunder and lightning, and I thought, oh my God, rainy day schedule on the first day. This cannot be happening. And then I went back to sleep and the sun was out in the morning. So thankfully everything went smoothly. I was at Park this morning and it went smoother than it did last year, and helped some kids in the office find their schedules and get to their lines. But I think it was a smooth opening at every one of our schools, and hope the full year goes as smoothly at each of our buildings. So that's all I have for today.
Thank you so much, Ms. Thompson. I'm just going to share just a few little bits, since my fellow board members have just done such a great job of identifying all the important things that needed to be noted. I was at Rose Lane on Friday helping out a kindergarten class, and I felt a little bit stressed. So it's like anything in life where, you're about ready to perform, or you're going to submit a term paper, or you have a final, you have no idea how it's all going to work out until the doors open or the test is done, and then it suddenly magically happens. And I'm sure the opening was outstanding. I found the opportunity to help in the kindergarten classes was so helpful, not just obviously helping the teachers put stuff away, but just listening. I think that there's something very powerful when teachers can just vent. That's, I think, what a few of them just needed to do, because they were stressed out. And just to have a board member there just to listen to them and be present, I think just helped a great deal. And so I thought that there was definitely a tangible role for me, but the listening part was incredibly important as well. And it is an extraordinarily beautiful school. My mouth kind of dropped when I walked in the door, and I think anyone that visits Rose Lane will have a very similar experience. It is just outstanding in every aspect. But also, there's schools that are beautiful, but there are also schools that are beautiful that you can say children are going to learn here, and they're going to love it, and they're going to have fun. And that is, I feel like, the feeling of Rose Lane. I don't feel like it's an artifact that's going to show up in an architectural magazine, that it is a place where children are going to have fun learning, and staff are going to feel respected because they're in a building that is on par with their abilities. And I think those things are very important. I want to reiterate the bus as an important way to get your kids to and from school. I found that it was always better to have my kid go through the processing of the school day on the bus, and we'd have a much more positive interaction when they got home than if they got into the car right after school. So just take that as an idea that maybe, as a parent, it could benefit you in a very real way. And I think it was also helpful for them to kind of, touch base with their friends and, kind of share the excitement and the frustrations of their day with their peers. That was always very powerful. Our bus drivers are really extraordinary. I think that our students feel very cared for on those buses. They're a little rowdy sometimes, but again, like, what would life be without a bus experience? I think if you don't have that, maybe you might be missing something that's important. So I will put that out there. And then finally, I just want to say thank you to everyone that was involved in the Welcome Back breakfast. I want to say thank you to Dr. Guerin for setting such an impressive tone. You cannot underscore to me the importance of leadership setting a tone that is a tone where you have set high expectations, but where people feel heard, and who are in the audience, our staff, and also basically held up that, we see you as being extraordinary members of our community and we couldn't do without. And all I could think of is like, what would it be like if I was in that audience and I was a first-year teacher, or if I was a teacher moving from another district? I would probably be blown away, and I was. And so thank you for that. And thank you for everyone else who was involved in that effort. All right, moving along to our consent agenda. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda unless we need to pull anything.
President Kazi, if I could we're having a little bit of technical issues where it's displaying consent items. So when it was board member comments, it didn't display that.
Right?
So I just wanted the audience to know at home that,
Okay.
that now we're moving on to consent.
Yes, our system is a little cattywampus, but that's okay. We
Move
love
to
it.
approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you. Is there a
When it
second?
eventually shows up on the
I
screen.
will second that motion.
All right, it's been moved to approve the consent agenda as presented by Ms. Thompson, and seconded by Ms. Gresham. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed for the motion, please signify by saying nay. And that motion carries. Moving along to call to the public. Pursuant to board policy, time has been set aside for a call to the public. This is an opportunity for individuals to address the entire board in a public setting, to express their views or concerns. State law limits our ability to respond to comments made during the call to the public. However, we do hear your remarks and ask the superintendent to follow up and provide us with information regarding any issues raised. To keep us on schedule, each speaker has no more than 3 minutes. Ms. Humphrey, do we have any calls to the public this evening?
We have no calls to public.
All right, then we will move along to information items. Item 6.1, school opening, 26-27, Dr. Guerin.
President Kazi, members of the board, cabinet, and guests. Board member Thompson mentioned our first day of school video, so we just have to take a moment to show it.
Yay.
Happy first day of school.
Yes, and thank you to the communications team for being everywhere, all at once. Every school I went to, I saw one of them. So again, thank you for a great opening to the 2026, 2027 school year. Our amazing school staff and district departments worked overtime to make it look easy. But of course, they navigated challenges with heat, construction, and all of the other start to school challenges. So thank you. There was just some wonderful moments this morning. I actually made it to 3 woohoo, boohoo breakfasts, and we're able to chat with some parents. Some were, oh, my child's already been in preschool, or this is my 3rd child, so they were the woohoo parents, and then there were the boohoo with some Kleenex, and can we come back at lunch, and all of the things. Yeah, so to see all of that, and then of course our wonderful parent organizations hosting those breakfasts, helping Rose Lane move in. Miss Gresham and I did go down the slide, and I survived to tell the tale. So if you haven't tried it, it gets a little fast in the middle. So just want to warn you. But seeing Miss Clark in the middle of the road as kids approached from the church parking lot, going into school, and knowing every kid's name, family name, all of it, there was just magic happening everywhere. And it just really fills your bucket to get to see and experience that. I did make it and stop by at all 8 schools and community ed and Highland Prep, and it was just wonderful to see so many smiling faces. Many staff has said there's just seems to be even more of a joy this year, that you could feel it at the welcome back, that there's optimism, and so there's just a sense of excitement coming back this year. So I love that, and it's so cute. You can even get the middle school kids to smile. You really can, if you really make eye contact and say welcome back and all that. Yeah, especially the 5th graders. Yeah. So I just want to take a moment and talk about enrollment and our construction projects. So again, please know that when we look at enrollment, it's not stable till the 10th day. So it's really, every time I opened up the numbers, it was changing by the hour. So families are coming in, students are maybe enrolled but did not come back to Madison. But we did welcome 5,508 students this year. That is 43 more students than the first day of school last year, so we will definitely take it. I sat down with Mr. Thompson to look over the numbers, and we're also noticing that cohorts, so first graders moving to 2nd grade, 2nd to 3rd, our capture rate seems to be increasing. So we're keeping more kids as they move through the cohorts. So that's a nice win. And just please know in this, with the low birth rate and school choice and all that, stable enrollment is such a win. So we'll know more. The 10th day is August 18th, and Assistant Superintendent Scott Thompson is going to give us the ins and outs of all the enrollment information on our August 24th board meeting. I did receive a question about community education, so I reached out to new director Shannon Smith, and can you believe 1,235 students are enrolled in MAC? That is a lot. But she said that's actually kind of where we normally always are. We're right on track. We do have a couple wait lists that we expect to clear within the next 2 weeks, and those are mostly people that just signed up. But we have 2 campuses that need to hire some more staff, so they're working through that, so those wait lists might be a little longer. But I walked through some of those programs as well, and oh, the preschoolers, the 3 and 4-year-olds are just as cutest buttons. I wanted to stay and play all day, actually. And they look at me, who are you? As we opened school, we navigated a school rebuild, which was huge, and completed many other smaller projects. So I just wanted to, and there's too many to name, but we've all talked about Rose Lane. But as I walk by number 1, when you walk outside the doors to the Ramada, I just thought, wow, everything looks a little greener. They took some of the gravel and made that artificial grass as well, and we know how much they use that middle space, so it just makes it bigger, more usable and cooler. So that was really nice. You can see our amazing administrators from number 1 highlighting our new MAX security systems at the schools. And so when parents pick up after school, they buzz in, and it's on an iPad or a phone. They make the connection, and then the staff member can let the parent in. So that is a huge improvement in our securities, and I think we're up and running at all but one school. So that's great. And then, of course, Rose Lane. We've all talked about Rose Lane. So I want to thank McCarthy and Grace Designs. Rose Lane is simply amazing, and they all donated all the baseball caps as well for our welcome back to school. Thanks to everyone who put so much effort into that welcome back. Our DJ, Adam from Rose Lane, the board members collecting with some staff members over $7,000 worth of prizes for staff just really shows how much we value them. And the principals really knocked it out of the park, along with the departments with the walk-up songs. So that was really fun. Okay, I wanted to highlight a couple more things. So here's just some pictures of Rose Lane. I had 2 different families come up to me and said, it feels like the Children's Museum in there. They said that's the feel of it, because when you turn around, there's all these little learning nooks and corners. And that was 2 separate families that told me that. So I thought that was really cool. And then I mentioned the comment to Barb, and she said when she was on the planning committee, that was one of their goals. So that gave me goosebumps. Oops. Yeah. So we had the welcome meet the teacher events. We know the staff put a tremendous amount of effort. They were emailing me about the great turnouts that they had. So we love to get the families back. The welcome back breakfast, of course, Madison All-Stars. We talked about our baseball theme. We had new teacher orientation to focus on all our new staff. We had 182 new staff members, 116 classified, 58 certified, which were at the new teacher orientation, and 8 new administrators. We also noted how many staff have returned to Madison, so that was really exciting. I want to highlight the amazing professional development opportunities happening all over the district. Thank you to Ed Services, tremendous offerings to prepare staff to move students forward. And then I also want to thank Admin Services, because we completed a lot of safety training, which is ongoing now. So you'll always see that happening. Okay, let's see. And I think that is all I had. Welcome, new kindergartners, students, and families. We're so glad you've joined the Madison family. Thank you for everyone who made the first day of school such a success.
Thank you so much, Dr. Guerin. What an outstanding report. Are there any questions? All right, moving along to information item 6.2, parent survey results. Dr. Guerin.
President Kazi, members of the board, cabinet, and guests, I'd like to welcome, well, I'll actually hand it over to Deputy Superintendent Bart Marshall.
Thank you, President Kazi, members of the board. Just great to hear during your board reports how much you mention the parent involvement and the support that we get from the parents. First off, just enrolling in Madison and trusting us with their child, but all the things they do to support us. And one of you even mentioned where they feel that their voices are heard. And one way is through the annual parent survey, which is held at the end of the school year. The schools have already had the opportunity to look at their individual results, and they have incorporated that feedback into their school integrated action plans. Tonight, we'll look at it from a district perspective, and our Director for Research and Evaluation, Jason Piankowski, will walk us through that.
Thank you. Member Kazi, member of the board, Dr. Guerin, members of cabinet, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. Today we'll be reviewing high-level results from the family survey. This first slide demonstrates a response rate pattern for our survey from this previous year. The dark lines are Fridays, so you can help chunk the patterns over the course of time. And you'll see that our launching of that parent survey began on April 24th, and then we closed that survey on May 29th, so it was open for a little over a month. One thing to note is that there are 2 major differences with our survey this year. One was the mechanism that collected the information from the survey. We moved from a tool formerly called SurveyMonkey to another tool, or organization that created a tool specially for Madison, which is Hanover Research. So that was a difference, and then also the delivery mechanism for getting that information out to parents also changed, where previously we would utilize different email systems to contact families, or the SurveyMonkey system, which ran into various different filters, yes, challenges, barriers, we moved to the Parent Square model to send that information out. And so you'll notice in the beginning, we had a modest engagement in responses to those surveys. And during that flatline period where there's not a ton of progress, we work with the communications department to understand what types of families were clicking on our parent survey link or our Parent Square links, what types weren't, how could we better target it, what are some of the different tools that we could utilize, what are the different successes that schools had. And then over that, maybe that third major section, we really started to I don't know, you probably have better terms than me, like micro-target different types of family groups. For instance, if there were performance, we would find out what types of families would be attending those performances because they're enrolled in a fine arts program or they're enrolled in band. And we would target those different families and send those surveys out so that they can start to engage in that. If there's a STEAM night event, we would pre-launch one of those items to go out to those families so that they'd be engaging in that and be able to give us our feedback. And so over that course of time, we were able to really garner a lot of feedback on the process and capture a lot of results. We had total net 17,083 responses, which was down about 200 from the previous year and 100 from the year prior. I'm very optimistic that going into this year that we'll see a nice increase in rate because of all the different strategies that we've worked out, and that we'll also most likely be starting that parent survey earlier in the year than we have in the past. The reason for starting it earlier is due to the scheduling related to HB 2032, where we're going to be moving the state assessment further back into the school year. And so having a parent survey go out in the last month of the school year with state testing and all those other activities is probably not the best time frame for schools and organizations to communicate that. So we'll most likely launch it earlier towards the beginning of April. And we'll come in with a really great plan to capture responses. Additionally, some other changes that were made to the family survey was moving it into Hanover and also incorporating some different features related to the strategic plan and different initiatives throughout the improvement efforts that we've been engaging in to address the strategic plan. We did have somewhat of a delay of getting those responses back to schools. So typically they review those results right at May when we have those results, and they were able to review portions of them over the summer and then more so later on in the year, and we're really engaging in it now. So although they haven't gone into the entire review of every little nook and cranny of the data that they might have at this time last year, they're going to catch up very quickly because of the way we've been able to incorporate the Hanover tool to instantaneously now provide those responses. So now our turnaround time on those surveys is going to be lightning quick, and it's going to be much easier for them to go in and slice and dice and look at pieces of information. So we did quite a bit of reviewing of the survey during this past ILT when we returned in June. In conclusion with that, we also, in conjunction with utilizing Hanover for the parent survey tool, we're also utilizing that tool to capture our staff survey information. So Hanover is going to be able to provide us nice insights on our family survey as well as our staff survey, and our teacher evaluation tool is also in the Hanover system. So we're moving a lot of our systems in there so they have access to our trend information, are able to turn around responses for us very quickly. And that's about it with that. Okay. With this, here's an interesting piece of information that we pulled out from the family survey for 25-26. What it does is it breaks the responses down by how the families responded and said what grade level their student was. In the survey, we did ask them to pick the grade level of the student whose birthday came first, so people didn't feel obligated to fill out the survey multiple times, but parents did have the opportunity to fill that out multiple times. You'll take note that in kindergarten, 230 responses were recorded by families, and of those 230, well over half of those families reported only having one child in their family. And then if we go to fourth grade, we kind of see a bit of an opposite trend where we had 179 family responses, and over half of those families reporting having 2 or more children in their family. And so that's something that we're going to get in and start looking at, and looking at patterns of what types of families are giving us different responses, which the Hanover process will let us to do. Families who are somewhat likely to return, have multiple children, are new to the district or not new to the district, how are their patterns and responses helping, so that we can help pass that information along to various different users to communicate effectively. Another big indicator that we look to track and review over time are the number of families related to their open enrollment status. We had well over 60% say that they were open enrollment families. A little over around 30% say they were not, and maybe about 5% weren't sure. Which is always definitely something that's interesting, because they're not sure if the open enrollment means you're living within the district, within the school boundary. Where does the school boundary really end? What if you're an MTA parent? Are you open enrollment or not open enrollment? So that's a fair thing to think about as far as open enrollment statuses, but that response rate is a little bit higher than our enrollment rate as far as people being, or families recognizing themselves as open enrollment families. Now we'll go over the 4 questions that we typically, or 4 items that we typically review with our family survey responses, so that we have a good idea about broad understandings of how parents perceive our families. When one of the main questions we ask is, I feel my child is safe at school, which is certainly an item that is a direct focus of our strategic plan, and then is also an item that has been increasing steadily over time as far as the strongly agrees category mentions, where we had 885 respondents note that they strongly agree that they feel that their child is safe at school. And that is a nice potential lagging indicator based on our focus on the whole child, as well as all the different physical safety measures that we've been implementing over the past few years related to our strategic plan. The next indicator that we look to review is if families would recommend their child to another school. So somebody may like something, but if they're daring enough to recommend it to somebody outside themselves, that's always a good sign. And that trend has also been positive for us, where 61% of families who respond said they'd strongly agree that they would recommend their child to another. Next, overall satisfaction with academic progress, which is a primary focal point for the school. We do see another positive trend where 54% strongly agreed with their satisfaction related to their child's academic progress, which again is a nice improvement over the past 5 years. And then lastly, the other major indicator that we frequently report on publicly is I would give my child's district the following grade. That one did dip slightly for us, which is an interesting idea as far as feeling satisfied about safety, academic progress, but we did see a modest dip in the amount of families that would rate the district as a district. Additionally to those basic Likert measures, we also ask school families to tell us what some of the most important factors are for selecting a school. These were the top 5 that stood out from other items. Parents had the opportunity to select multiple items. School culture and environment was one of the top items, regardless of how we sliced and diced the information, whether they're new to Madison, whether they're open enrollment. School culture and environment was one of the top responses all the time. Reputation of the school as a whole was also frequently one of the top indicators of all the times. And then school signature program was the other part of the top 3 that were constantly in that top band of responses for families. With school signature program, we did not use that terminology. For instance, at MTA, if you identified yourself as an MTA family, you would say the traditional academy signature program. At Park, we would say the STEAM signature program, so that parents would have that terminology be able to align with. And we tracked those items to see and aggregated those signature program responses to understand where that fell. And then the other 2 that were close to the top, close to those top 3, but slightly lower, were academic achievement expectations and teacher qualifications and experience. When we first looked at first-year enrollment families that are in grades 1 through 8, we see that reputation and signature program often outpace the other options. So families that were in their first year and only in grades 1 through 8, so we took out the kindergarteners and we took out the preschool students, we noticed that reputation and signature programs really created a big gap difference for why they felt that was an item to select for their school. Other items that came up as far as them open responding and putting in items that they felt were important were really family and friend connections, which is something that was really nice to see as far as that community relationship. Other indicators underneath that is that English language arts was more often than not a highly well regarded and one of the strengths of the Madison School District, as well as specials, encores, and special areas. And mathematics traditionally felt in the third place for that. And the gap between elementary and middle school was a little bit more significant, where elementary families favored the mathematics program slightly more than or noticeably more than the middle school programs. And then, although there was favoring between the elementary over the middle school, all those indicators have been trending positively over the past 3 years, where some of those gaps are starting to narrow. And then another section of the survey is related to human growth and development programming. Many of the families were inclined to attend those programs. We're interested in providing that comprehensive content. They're interested in advanced parent briefings as well as flexible delivery options, whether that be online, in person, or through recorded videos. Among the families, about 42% were extremely or very interested or likely to participate in the human growth sessions, while 14% were not as likely to participate. And that number, 14%, is about half as much as it was the prior year. So there's a noticeable change in the amount of people who were not interested in that offering. And then family engagement, they did notice that they would be interested in previewing curriculum, getting updates of curriculum ahead of time to understand what those content might be before engaging in that process. So there definitely was an interest in communication related to that. Overall, we received several hundred open comments from the family surveys. And looking at that, working with Hanover, we categorized them into 4 broad categories of sentiment. About 203 were positive, 107 were neutral, about 92 were mixed, and then about 92 were negative. A neutral comment would be an example of somebody providing a suggestion. So it's an area of improvement, not necessarily something they were frustrated with or didn't like, but it would be nice if we had this, it would be nice if we had that. Mixed would be, I really had a good experience with teacher A, but I did not have a good experience with teacher B. When we took all those comments and kind of organized them into different themes, we saw one of our most frequent comments were related to staff quality, recognition, professionalism. Our families really recognized and praised individual teachers, principals, and staff members. There was a note of concern about some inconsistencies that would happen between schools or within schools. School climate was another one that was high on the positive list, but then there all were, and as always, some folks who saw things from a different perspective, and some of those comments were noted about inconsistencies within schools or between schools, as they noted related to school climate, belonging, overall experience. And then next, communication and family engagement was a more popular theme that came about, where families appreciated regular personal communication. And then maybe some improvements would be focused around earlier notice, clear procedures, follow-throughs, some more details related to what that communication might be. The fourth theme that popped up was academic instruction, curriculum and rigor. Families recognize strong learning experiences, raised some concerns about consistency, and then also some reliance on different types of technologies or worksheets or other methods that they felt might not be as effective as they were being used. And then these last 4 categories were noteworthy, but not as prevalent as the first 4 categories. But there was nice positive feedback about student support and differentiated services, one of the comments related, or many of the comments related to differentiated services was related to stronger intervention systems, which is part of our strategic plan and one of our focuses for this past year and this current year, as well as individualized support and tutoring and other things that parents are looking for specific support for their child. Programs and enrichment, extracurricular activities, family found values in those specialized programs, but sometimes saw some barriers with cost or access or timeliness or the opportunities that were being presented where they couldn't take advantage of those opportunities. Then also open comment theme, behavior, bullying, discipline, safety. Some families praise staff for safety concerns, and then others were, again, thinking about consistency or rules between expectations or families happening. And then lastly, operations, transportation, meals. Some of the comments were focused around addressing transportation, arrival dismissal, affordability, fees, calendars, systems to pay those bills or access those ideas or access those different programs. So there's definitely some themes and that came about where useful information can be garnered to help with those improvement processes. Summarizing some of those primary opportunities for improvement, consistency came about related to communication, related to instruction, strengthen our behavior bullying responses, expand access to student supports, remove barriers related to affordability or accessing different programs, and then addressing class size and or staff retention were areas of improvement. And maybe if we summarize some of those theme comments down from parents. And then primary strengths, teachers were frequently called out as the strength of Madison and staff members as well for the district, identified as that strength. And frequently and noteworthily, families generally felt very connected to the schools that they were attending and felt that there was a connection and it wasn't a one-way process, but a two-way process for them to engage in the school program. And then also many of the specialized programs that existed in Madison were seen as a strength, and that families in general reported that their children were happy and feeling successful, which I thought is a good way to transition into a general overall summary. Although I have a tendency to focus on what can be improved, I always have to come back and say overall satisfaction was very high. Families were very pleased with safety, academics, and the overall school experience. Is reflected in those strong family connections that were there, and parents of younger students are the district's stronger supporters. I don't know what they're doing in the preschool program, but they really like what we're doing in the preschool program, so I wouldn't change anything about that. But they typically, the younger families were very engaged, but the preschool families were very fond of what was happening there, especially in the English language arts. Questions?
Thank you for that outstanding presentation. Questions? Ms. Thompson first, and then Ms. Grisham.
Sure, thank you. Thank you for that great presentation. Really appreciate all of that data. I just had one quick question about, first of all, let me say, I appreciate the survey timing, the tool. As a parent who took the survey, the tool was very easy to use, so appreciate that. As for timing, I think it'll be great to roll it out a little bit earlier so that the schools, like you said, at different events can lean in and remind parents, hey, you're here. While you're sitting here waiting for the next band to go on stage, why don't you fill this out? I think that'll be helpful, because I also noticed as we did that final push after school ended, there was that other bump. So I think that timing will be great. Also had another question for you about participation by school site. Was there relatively even participation? I mean, I know there's some schools that probably had more parents or less parents, but were there any standouts? Was there like a campus or two that we should really try and engage parents to make sure they're engaged a little bit more, or one that stood out because almost everybody was surveyed, or was everybody within kind of a band? Does that make sense?
Yep. I'd say we had maybe this current year about 3 tiers of schools, tiers that increased their engagement, made the same, and maybe decreased a little bit. And so I do know that I think with our new plan, as far as targeting different family groups, that with some of those schools that maybe dipped a little bit in participation, we can target them and increase the communication, so there is broader engagement there.
Great, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Gresham.
Thank you. Hello, sir. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Let's see, I have a few questions. Will we get to see, because you mentioned some of these had differences based on which school it came from, will we get to see those maybe in the SIAP or something? Like, because I would love to see the differences among schools, like as far as, like when they said what grade, overall grade you would give your school, or if you would recommend it. I would love to see the differences among each school for that, if we can get that at some point.
We can definitely talk about the best way to get that to you. Okay.
Thank you. And then how many families total took the survey? have that handy?
17, we had 17,800 or 1,783 responses, 1780.
Pretty good, pretty good. Okay, thank you. And then my last is about this, well, staff and then also families, but when do we give the staff survey, or are we changing that too, or when do we usually?
Last year, we, in addition to changing around some of the items with our family survey, we did the same thing with the staff survey, and we launched that staff survey in February. We included a lot more details related to school safety and the safety initiative that we were undergoing last year. And we moved that timeline back traditionally from November last year to February, but I'd like to move it back to November and keep that time frame so that we can see what the beginning of the year looks like for those staff members, and then use that and address it during the school year.
Yeah.
Whereas this year, we got the staff survey information back towards the end of the year, and you can still work on that, but it would be nice to have that information back during the year.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, sounds good. And then also, I think we've brought this up before, but do we, or are we planning to do any sort of exit surveys for families or staff that are leaving the district? Do we do that, or do we plan to do that? We would love to have that information as well. Or maybe, yeah, maybe Ms. Marshall can address that.
Well, I think Dr. Lomeli was going to address for staff. For parents, I do know that as they leave, the communications department is putting together and has surveyed families about why they're leaving. Several years ago, we actually had Hanover reach out to many of those families as well to find out reasons for why they're leaving. But we do have that in the works as we find out families that are choosing to go elsewhere.
Wonderful, thank you.
And for staff, we do administer an exit survey when staff leave. And we also give them the option of if they want to do an exit interview and talk to us personally. And there are a handful of people that do that. And we do administer both survey and conduct interviews.
Great, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Gresham. Mr. Holcomb.
Yes, thank you. One of the things I really took away from this, and I've been thinking about this, it was underscored for part of what I saw today and just part of the discussion I have. I would like to see, well, I think this brought forth the idea of how important the culture elements are. I mean, our academics and that are also strong. That's an important reason why people are here. But the culture, I think that at each of the schools is important. And I think one of the things that emphasized that for me in the presentations you did was that for the people who are new to the district, it's reputation and the signature programs, because that's all they know about us. They haven't experienced Madison. But when you got to that priority seemed to shift, if I understood your categorization there, is that it was the culture, the kids are happy, you know, those things that they come from experience became the more important things. So the signature programs, while they're important throughout that, what gets the students here, if I get this correctly, is reputation and the signature programs, because that's what they know. What seems to keep people here is, okay, we've got that, and then we have those culture elements, the kids are happy, and things of that nature. And I think we mentioned about what we'd like to see at the SIAP and that too. I really think we need to have more of a focus on that as we're going through that. I think is important, because each of the schools has a different culture, and what they're, not only what they're doing in school improvement academics is the statistics, I think is what is it you're doing to reinforce, what's your culture that you're strong, what are you doing to reinforce that experience, because I think that's important. The second thing I got and this just came back, I appreciate the question about the exit surveys. I think I would like to see that as formal as this. Because if you think about it, we're attracting students, there's two ways you grow. One is bringing new people in, and the second one is keeping the people that you have.
Right.
And so I think we need to have more of an emphasis potentially on that exit, both for staff, but also really for families, to the extent we can get that. I think that's very useful. And, you always have to put that in a filter. I think a lot of things, you look at reviews online, a lot of times the review online, or those reviews that you see, tell you more about the person writing the review than what they are reviewing. So you have to put that filter. But I think that's a way I think we can strengthen what we're doing. And I appreciate, the analysis that you have. But if look at how you look at those categories, so much of that is the academics is core, but the things that are making differences to families is the culture, how they feel, how their students feel, the connection. And I think we've had a good focus on that. I think we need to even put more emphasis on measuring that and how we improve that. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And to echo a comment made earlier, I believe it's related to quality leadership.
Yeah.
All right.
But, by the way,
Always.
just one real technical thing.
Yeah.
Particularly since you are a technical guy, I've noticed.
I'm faking it.
And this is just in general. It is very helpful to me, being old and becoming more senile, is to have numbers on your PowerPoint presentation slides. They all should have numbers, because if something specific comes up, I try to keep track. If we can go back to this slide as an example, it makes it easier for us to help interact with you. And that would make our culture much better. Thank you.
Remember, Holcomb, I appreciated the comment when I was reviewing the slides for this. I said, I thought I had the slide numbers on it. I hope nobody says anything about it, but you got me. And you're right, they should be on there.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Holcomb. So if I was not, maybe I missed this, but it appeared to me at the Welcome Back Breakfast that you had a classic 1970s baseball player beard. Did I imagine that?
Perhaps.
Yeah. Yeah. Not that it's something I seem to know about, but I do apparently. Thank you for that excellent presentation. Few questions, mostly focused on the logistics of the survey. First of all, so glad we're moving from SurveyMonkey. As a user of Constant Contact, I know that open rates, because things do not get delivered,
Yes.
is a huge problem with both those platforms. So the fact that we're sending out through Parent Square is obviously a huge improvement as far as access. Our parents at least know that they are receiving this survey. I'm also thrilled to hear about the segmentation we're able to do. I assume with Parent Square we have really great data on open rates and how long people are on, looking at information, where they're going, and so really fabulous source of data to drive decision making on like how to reach out and engage with parents. So exciting to see how that grows, because the thing is, with that kind of engagement data, you need a few years, right, until it's really telling. But as we move forward into future surveys, it'll be very rich and really will help guide, and I think will result in higher engagement rates and people participating. Which leads me to my next question: do you have any data on the persistent rates, like how many people started the survey and then got through your first few questions? Or I'm always interested in that, because it helps me understand about the instrument that we're using, and and also, like, of those parents, like, are there certain schools where they're not persisting? I would really be interested in that, because if we're not collecting data, say from maybe a low SES school because it's just too long for whatever reason, like what does that mean? I would be very interested in that.
Okay.
The second thing the last thing I'm interested in is do we have data on how many people are completing the survey on their laptops versus their devices, either an iPad or a phone? Do we have data on that?
I know on persistence rate, I could work with Hanover to provide us that information. I don't have easy access to that yet.
Okay.
But they're working with the dashboards to give me some of those different metrics in a more accessible way. They were prioritizing the general Likert and high-level pieces of information, and I will find out about the device rate. I imagine they do capture that in some way, but I am ignorant
Yeah, that's
on
a
that.
kind of a growing, I think, thing that we're trying to figure out, because obviously that plays a key role in how it's presented. Because if we're used to thinking it's going to be looked at on this screen, but instead it's on this screen, a really different experience, right, for the user and their ability maybe to type in their response or whatever that might look like. So just something to be aware of. Yes. Other than that, Ms. Thompson, you have something
That
else?
reminded me of one other question. Is the survey available in other languages beside English? I can't remember if that was one of the questions
Yes.
at the top. That's what I thought. I thought the answer was yes, but I wanted to double check. Thank you.
Any additional questions for Mr. Piankowski?
Just follow up on that, what besides English and Spanish?
Primarily right now, we do have it available in Spanish and English through the Hanover tool. There are different tools, though, that are available for them to be able to transfer that depending on what their device might be like live in their interaction. But those are the two primary ones that we've made sure with Hanover that it's available in.
Thank you so much. We appreciate the presentation. And then finally, moving along to item number 7, future meetings. Dr. Guerin.
President Kazi, members of the board, cabinet, and guests, our next meeting is August 25th. And as I mentioned, we'll have an enrollment update from Assistant Superintendent Thompson. We also are going to talk a little bit about the ASBA Law Conference and the Madison Political Agenda, so we'll get prepped for that. And don't forget, it's already going to be time in September for our study sessions, so we'll have PSYOPs on September 25th, followed up by the board meeting, where we're going to talk a little bit about how Meadows is enhancing their signature program. So we'll have a presentation from Casey George and Ms. Clark, and then again leaning into PSYOP on September 29th for the middle schools. Or no, those are the elementary schools.
Any questions?
Quick question for you, Dr. When do we start? We're going to start up our awards and showcases and stuff, right?
That's, what is it? September 29th.
Oh, is that, the same as, okay, so after
There we
the
go.
study sessions, but,
In
okay,
2 more meetings.
before that meeting.
Or the 3rd.
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
Anything else? All right. Yes.
Just really quickly, I wanted to thank the staff for jumping in and helping families with the small hiccups that happened during the early enrollment, Power School speaking to whatever other thing they outsourced, and then things locking up on the 2 days everyone was supposed to register. Staff was really great about jumping on that and communicating to families that we're working on it and getting it resolved. So I just wanted to give a shout out to everybody for that.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Any additional items before I entertain a motion to adjourn? All right, I will entertain a motion.
To adjourn?
So second.
Been moved by Ms. Gresham, seconded by Ms. Thompson. Please, if you, please, oh my gosh.
Almost done. Almost done.
It's like reprogram the brain. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The motion carries. We are adjourned.